Okay, great. Hi, guys.
Hey, everyone.
Episode 18 of Two Sisters in Business.
Yeah, really exciting episode.
Yes, we're recording multiple episodes today, so I have to remember what number we're on. But we're on episode 18, and we have a special guest with us today, Caroline Moss from G Thanks Just Bought It. We are so excited to have you. What was Caroline's title that we were just talking about? You're the head. Can you tell us your title exactly?
Like the head shopper.
Yes, the head shopper.
Right, head shopper.
Thank you. I love that.
Shopper in charge.
Shopper in
Shopper
charge.
in charge.
So today we are excited to chat with you about all the things in your background. But just to give a little bit of background too, you've sold Dudley Stevens through your flagship store and on your site, and you've been such a great supporter of ours and your ladies. Hopefully we'll continue to love Dudley Stevens, but I think that they really loved it when you introduced it to them this past fall, right? For the first time.
Yeah. Big. Actually, the first time I think was in the spring of last year.
Right.
But I think, and then people kind of some people tried it. Some people didn't try it. Some people were like, I'm saving this for cozy season. And then when, the colder weather came along in the fall, it
picks
boomed.
up. Yeah.
It boomed on flagship. I was like,
awesome.
okay.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was really great.
Amazing.
We're clearly big fans of Dudley Stevens over here.
Love it.
We love your community too. It's been so fun to get to know you and your ladies. And we would love to just dive in. I read this New York Times article that you are very prominently featured in, all about how influencers and these shopping communities have basically put the monthly fashion and beauty magazines out of business. Not to be extreme, but
basically,
yeah. But it's funny. I've been around. I mean, I'm old, and when I was doing PR back in the early aughts, we lived and died by these monthly magazines and weeklies, like Us Weekly and People and all those, and those still exist, obviously. But those things were our Bibles for how we found out about fashion, beauty,
Totally.
lifestyle, wellness, like pretty much any sort of shopping tips. Like I would devour Elle magazine every month and look at the credits and, get new brands from them too. And Vanity Fair, I remember. Yeah. So,
well, and think about how slow to print,
right.
So it's slow, you don't have now we have all these up and coming brands. You have to be really quick and on it.
Yes,
and
exactly.
Thanks to your community and you were able to do that now.
Exactly. So I loved that article so much, and I thought it was so spot on with what's happening in the world and in your world right now. So why don't we just kick off with giving us a little bit about yourself and your background and where you are today?
Yeah. So I also was in the media world. So I started my career at Business Insider. I was reporting on internet culture and internet trends. And then I moved over to NBC and I was working on millennial finance content. And then I moved over to BuzzFeed and I was working so I have been through those trenches, but similarly, kind of graduating from college in 2009, sort of entered a new age of media where you weren't waiting for magazines. And I mean, I spent my whole entire high school life and my college life addicted to magazines, and magazines tell you what to be interested in, magazines tell you what to buy, magazines tell you what's on trend. And then I graduated college and sort of entered this new world where it was social media and everything's in real time. And one of the reasons I started G Thanks was I found being in a newsroom to be very, very stressful. After 2016, for, draw your own conclusions. It was a stressful time. And I was when I want to strike out on my own. And that ended up coming in 2019 with this podcast. And one of the things that I was really interested in was hearing about, how people were spending their money and what people were buying. And it's G Thanks really started as a podcast. And the idea was, I'm going to ask my friends and other cool people, what's the last thing you bought that you're really excited about?
Love that.
I felt like the space was really, really crowded. The influencer space was sort of just picking up and becoming a legitimate actual career path.
Yep.
It wasn't my plan to get on that path. I was actually more interested in, being in this social media vacuum where everyone's talking about this one product. It felt like a magazine at times. It's like all of a sudden the air wrap was everywhere.
Yeah.
Right. And everyone was doing air wrap tutorials. And I was like, I just want to talk to somebody I know who like has an air wrap.
They really like this.
It's really good. Yeah. And I felt like I couldn't get to that.
Right.
Yeah.
Through the noise. So that's essentially what I wanted G Thanks to be. And it didn't always have to be like an aspirational purchase, like an air wrap. Like someone, I always use this example because it's so funny, but one of my guests brought this like shower drain stopper that like allowed bath water to go up above the emergency like drain level by like an inch. And she was like, it changed my bath.
Amazing.
Like, so just that inch of water. And we sold so many of those.
Right.
Like it was just because people come on the show.
That.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Because people just come on the show. And my only requirement was like, be actually excited to talk about the thing that you bought that you love. It doesn't have to be sexy. It doesn't have to be $500. It doesn't have to be like trending. Even though I did want people to come and say like, yeah, the air wrap's not worth it. The air wrap's worth it. The most fun we ever got out of that was, you know, these random like purchases that like you're never going to see in a magazine. You're never going to see an influencer like talking about a drain stopper. And I just thought that was so much fun. And so that's kind of how this was born. You know, I took my media experience from the first 10 years I was out of school and working. And then for the last 5 have applied it to, you know, building like an online community where we can cut through the noise and people can make like really smart, productive purchases. There's so much to buy. Everything is like flashing at you.
Yes.
Right. And so I think I try to curate a community where like when you're about to hit purchase on something, you can go to this Facebook group of like 30,000 people and be like, okay, like this thing, like,
what do we think?
Are we all in?
Yep.
Right. And you can also search too, which is good too, to see what people have said. Yeah.
Facebook could do, if Facebook is listening, you could do a better job at your search, but we can Facebook. Get there if we try.
Right.
One of the best things that I think happens is that it's not just like the stuff we are buying. I think it's the stuff we're not buying. Someone came into the group maybe a year and a half ago and was like, I'm about to pull a trigger on like a Samsung fridge. And like 90 people within 30 seconds were like, don't do it.
Gosh.
It's the worst fridge.
Okay.
And that's
I think,
it's a lifesaver,
so valuable.
Especially a fridge,
for a large purchase.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like, how do I, you know, my whole mission has been like, how do we take the sort of downside of like the in real time, everything kind of being thrown at you and make it work for us. And so I think G Thanks is really coming clutch with that. But it was the first 10 years out of college in media that really shaped my idea of like,
getting there.
You know, what you can do with the internet and how you can build community around it.
And so primarily it's your Facebook community, right? That's like the bulk of the communication and G Thanks community.
Well, yeah, technically for the people who are like, for the community like shoppers. Yeah. For the community. Yes, right. It's like 3 different arms. There's like Instagram, there's Substack and Facebook, but Facebook is where people can talk to each other. Yep. And I don't necessarily have to be there at all.
Right.
They don't need me in the conversation. So that's what we built for them. And it's really amazing. And I go in there all the time too. And like ask my own, I'm like, I'm about to buy this. And people are like, don't do it. Or they're like, do it. And I'm like, great. And I honestly, if they tell me not to buy something, I'm not buying it. Like that has really become like the woman who did not buy the Samsung was like, thank God. Like I'm so glad I didn't buy this fridge.
Well, and also 30,000 people on Facebook community. That's a ton of people that are dialed
from
in.
all different areas and you know, so you're getting really good feedback.
Yeah. Versus, you know, Instagram, sometimes these days we don't even know who's seeing our content because of the algorithm and all that.
Yeah. So, I feel like Instagram is me standing on a stage, like talking to an audience, and Facebook is like the breakout group.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
Totally.
Like,
yes.
And it's like silly to think about that. But again, that's where the 10 years of like the career building before starting this has come in. Like you kind of see these different avenues as like, okay, well, how can I leverage Instagram to work for me? How can I leverage a Substack to work for me? How can I leverage Facebook to work for me? And that's sort of how I see it. Yeah.
That is so valuable, that your work experience. I feel like I could sit here and ask you so many other questions right now. We'll save that for another time.
Interesting 10 years.
Yeah.
For sure.
I bet. And just learning all of that about the digital space is so so valuable. And you know, just think of what you've done with it and applied it to now your own business that, you know, you have a salary and this is your full time, which is amazing.
Yeah.
So how do you, well, you explained how you find your products. Like it genuinely is people coming and asking these questions, but then you have your Substack where you're also recommending things that you love, or that I love how you have the eyeing, trying, buying too.
Yeah.
Which is great.
It's a little chaotic. I wouldn't say like I have it down to a science. Substack is sort of like Instagram. So I think of Instagram as being like this sort of like ephemeral place where like if there is a sale, I share it with Instagram because it's like that's happening now and you're looking at it now and everyone's like seeing it now. Substack, Facebook, we already talked about, is kind of where they talk to each other. Substack is like sort of noting the community trends over time. So it's like stuff that keeps coming up, or, you know, we use it a lot to utilize like a Black Friday strategy.
Right. Okay.
And the eyeing, buying, trying thing is something new that I'm doing where I'm like, okay, these are things I'm thinking about buying, or I'm talking to the company, and it's transparent. Like this company sent me this versus I went and purchased this myself. And like, I loved it. I wasn't super into it, or like it went from the eyeing stage to the buying stage. Like I'm all in on this. And it's right. I think sometimes, you know, I forget, and Substack allows me to do this. It's like, there's a little bit more behind the scenes. I didn't start this to be kind of like a content creator or an influencer, like at all. Yeah. And sometimes I still have a hard time sort of accepting that that's probably the category that I'm in, but I try to take down the wall a little bit. Like, it's like, it's kind of random if I'm, it's like random if I'm like, I am trying this, like where, like with, Chappy Wrap, which is like another brand that is on Flagship. I'm sure you guys are familiar. I feel like Dudley Stevens and Chappy Wrap is like
we love a very good partnership with
go
them.
Together well. Yeah.
For sure. And both actually introduced to me by Julia.
Oh, Julia, terrific.
Of course.
Yes. Yeah. Oh my gosh, yes.
But thanks Chappy Wrap was like, it's like, if I'm just like, hey, this blanket and I love it, people are like, where did that come from? And it's like, even though I know I've been trying this for a while, Substack has allowed me to be like, I'm trying this blanket.
Yes.
I've put it in the wash like 6 times. I'm pretty sure you're going to love it because like no pet hair, like it just kind of gives that background that Instagram just doesn't have room for. Yeah. So again, it is kind of like figuring out like what parts of the business you can put in each place.
Yes. Right. I love that. It's so smart.
It really works for me. I think the problem is if someone's like, I only am in your Facebook group, I don't follow you on Instagram or on Substack. I'm like, that's totally fine. You also kind of are missing 60% of like
there's other info. Yeah. There's other things.
Yeah.
Similar. Yeah. I mean, we started this podcast too, just to like get a little bit behind the scenes of us, you know, which you can't see as well on Instagram, like you said.
Yeah.
Little snippets, like beautiful imagery and all that. But you know, this is really like behind the scenes of what goes on, you know, how we make decisions and how we run the business. Yeah.
It really, I think people really appreciate that. Like, I think that like everything is so, I mean, I would love to see the social media like landscape get a little less curated, but like everything's like so pretty and like perfect. And, like, anything anybody is selling me in like a reel, I will buy because I'm looking at their house. I'm looking at everything. Like, I'm still fooled by all of that.
Easy to get influenced. On Instagram. Yeah.
I try to be like a little messier in that way because I think it's like you don't want to lose
that personal touch. Yeah.
The personal touch. You have I'm a real person.
You have your sense of humor cracks me up sometimes when you post on Instagram. So I think that helps. Like
I was voted second best sense of humor in high school. So
there you go.
Okay, well.
You're probably noticing that.
I'm definitely picking up on it, and you've made me laugh, and I feel like that just brings in that level, it like draws you in, right? Because you're like, wait, I want to know more. I'm like, what's going on here?
Thank you.
Yeah.
So long term, like, do you see like a media empire? I mean, the name G Thanks is catchy and good, and you have a great brand.
And sorry, what do you call the community too? It's the Geezers,
it's the Geezers.
Yeah,
and
I
some
love
people
that.
say geezers. Yeah. And then one time I said geezers, and like someone yelled at me, and I was like, you don't understand. But I have been going into the soft G. I've been leaning into geezers.
Yeah,
I love it.
Someone else, like 5 months after we started saying geezers, and like all the time, someone was like, it should just be geniuses, and I was like, well, it's too late now.
Yeah, that ship has sailed.
That ship has sailed. That's such a good question. I cannot see past next week. And I think part of
I understand that.
It's like that's how I operate. And I think that's the only thing that keeps me alive. Like the reason why I find this job to be so fun and why I've been doing it now for about 5.5 years is because I really have tried to make it fun like 85% of the time. Like when it turned into a real business, I had to be very stringent with myself on what I felt was possible for me to do without burning out.
Yeah, we talk about that a lot.
You know, like
so smart. I love you feel that way
too. Of growing. I love the idea of, I mean, I could have never imagined this 5.5 years ago. Yeah. And I think if I had imagined this and set myself up for this, I wouldn't have done it because I think it would have stressed me out too much along the way.
Yeah, totally.
So I guess the answer is like, if in 10 years I wake up and it's a media empire, I'll be like, great. But I feel like I can't plan
where the wind It's like baby steps. You gotta like transition into that. Little by little.
My main goal is to not burn out and to keep having a lot of fun and to keep it light so that I can pivot when I want to. My best friend Nora and I just started doing like a mini podcast behind the paywall of the Substack of like, we're both big thrifters. Ooh, and that's like still shopping. So we just go and show each other the like crap that we got at the thrift store. And it's like, that's the kind of thing that I still have so much fun doing. And if I keep it as close to me as I've kept it for the last 5.5 years, I am able to just be like, hey, I'm going to start like a random like 9-episode arc where we're like just buying someone else's crap at the thrift store
and talking about it.
But if that can pivot into a media empire, I'll be thrilled. But
I think like it might. I have a good feeling.
Thank you. I'm going to take that with me. Honestly, and I'm sure you guys are the same way. Sometimes I just feel like I'm working towards the holiday season. Yeah. Like everything is always Q4. Of September. I never knew that. Like, because I never did retail. And I've never had a retail job. I was a waitress. So I had one of the two that they say you have to have like, before you become an adult. But I did not know about Q4 until I started this job. And now it's like all I think about.
Oh yeah.
And I'm sure you guys are the same.
We are the same, especially being primarily fleece, like winter. Right. So everything even more. I know. Every June and July, I have like a breakdown and I'm like, we're going to go out of business. And Kaki's like, this happens every year. And we got to work towards Q4. And I'm like, oh my gosh, how are we going to get through
it takes like 4 years of having the June and July freak out to be like, okay, I know. Yeah. And also in June and July, when people are like, it's summer, I'm like, no, it's October.
Yeah. Right.
And you know
October of the next year too.
Of the next year. Yeah. It's October 2027. Not the 4th of July. Exactly. I wonder if you guys feel this way too. Talking about magazines and stuff, famously, most magazines that are monthly close their Christmas
in July
issue in like July or August.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I feel like I do that now too, where I'm like, if I have to figure out what I'm doing in October and November in like August.
Yeah, same. Yeah. We're working on it now. Yeah. Like all of our plans for that. True. Yeah. It's crazy.
You have to work so far in advance.
You know this because you're a brand, all the brand emails about like holiday offerings, like the day after Labor Day, they're like, Christmas is coming. And you're like, okay.
Earlier every year. I know. I'm like, we haven't even gone to Halloween yet. We've done, like, it just starts so early. Forget Halloween.
Really does.
It's the forgotten holiday now. Oh my gosh, it's so true.
So every year I'm like, if I can get to Q4, I feel good about it.
Yeah, I know. Then we've made it. We've survived. And then we can celebrate in January-ish. Like, we made it through it.
On top of the world.
Yeah, exactly. No, I think that all entrepreneurs and retail, it's just part of the game.
It's a roller coaster.
Yeah, like even it's seasonal as much as we don't want it to be. There's a season there that we have to abide by or we'll go crazy.
Yeah.
So something that came up following you and that we talk about a lot and what we love that you're doing is promoting small business and this new, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, if I am missaying it, but and part of that for you is kind of extracting from Amazon, which I thought was so exciting to see because we as small business owners I think in the past
the competition
year or more, I don't know what it is. And maybe it's also the other Sheins of the world too. Like there's this past year or two where everyone is shopping these very fast fashion, who knows where they come from type brands. And so when we saw that you kind of had this, and I guess it's an announcement, right? Like this, or explanation to your community of like where I'm headed and what I'm focused on, and also kind of sourcing, as you do always, sourcing information from your community. What are the brands? Who are they? Who's your mom and pop shop? Who's a new one that I wouldn't even know about? That's making XYZ, which I just think is so powerful. So I'd love to talk about that too, and just hear more of your thoughts surrounding promoting these small businesses, whether they're female founded, diverse, owned by diverse women. Like, how can we, because we love supporting those businesses also, us being one of them. It's like, so how do we keep talking about that and like survive the Amazon competition?
I see a huge shift in, and I think it's fueled by politics in a huge way. I see a really, really big shift. And I think my audience is very progressive. I mean, I think that's just what it is what it is.
Right.
And so
you can pick up on that.
I'm seeing within my community that shift. And, it's a 100,000 person shift, but I can sense it. And it's like, okay, well then that's who I answer to. Yeah, I can't speak on behalf of everybody else, but like,
that's your community.
And after Prime Day, in July of 2024, it just felt kind of icky. And I remember getting a bunch of messages from people being like, I've had my eye on, XYZ, this appliance, that appliance, this thing you've recommended, blah, blah, blah. And they were like, I know what it costs because I've been looking at the price. And right before Prime Day, they raised the price. All of a sudden this thing is $80 when it was $30. And now it's 60% off. So it's 28. You know what I mean?
Wow. Right,
it's like
people are
it felt
smart.
Shady.
That is very interesting.
It felt shady. And I feel like, well, I can't ignore that. I also felt gross about it. I mean, listen, okay. So the baseline, thing I think about all of this is like Amazon has a very robust affiliate network. And so content creators can sign up and you can say, I have an Instagram channel, I have a Substack, I have a Facebook group, and give me like an affiliate account. And then I can have these links that like, if you buy through my link, I get a specific percentage of whatever you purchased. It's not very big. It's usually between 2% and 8%, which is low, but there are a lot of influencers who drive a ton of Amazon traffic. And I drove a pretty good amount. And I even said in this Substack where I talked about, my relationship with Amazon, I could pretty much rely on Amazon commissions to come in at about like $65,000 a year.
Yeah. Crazy.
Which is a lot for a small business. That's just like Lincoln stuff.
Right. Yeah.
And I felt after July just really icky. And,
well, that goes against too what you were saying earlier, like how to avoid the burnout and you want it to be fun.
Yeah, you have to. Yeah, right. Like you have to listen to that.
Stay true.
Yeah, and like what you were saying, that in order to keep going, I have to stick to those values that you've set for yourself, whether, written down or not.
I love a big box store. Like I know there's a Target boycott right now. I mean, like everything is they say, and I said this in Subject, they say there's no ethical consumption under like living in a capitalist world. And I get that.
Right.
And I'm a walking nuance because I'm like, and I have run a shopping account. And so I am kind of like always paying attention to that. But I also think that there are humans, we're all human. And we also are all fighting for, things to be more affordable and things to be more convenient. And I think that like, my point was, I didn't even cancel my Amazon Prime. I love streaming.
Yeah.
The streaming stuff. I cannot let it go. And I do like, if I need 2-day shipping, I like having the option.
Yeah, right.
But I did
like
say,
you said,
as a business, it's convenience.
Yeah.
But I said, but I also live in New York City, and I think I could also get whatever from like down the street. So I have to think about that. But like, I think, I felt a responsibility that like there's some weird shit happening with that pricing module and too many people noticed it. And so in August, I said, I'm going to quietly pull away from Amazon and see what happens. And I'm not going to do any Black Friday content with Amazon. And I think I probably shared like 10 Amazon links between August and February.
Yep.
And my, that $65,000 is now about $4,000. Like it really dropped pretty immediately.
Yeah.
But in that meantime, I was like, where else can I focus? Like where else can we be directing people to? And everyone's like, small business, obviously. And I'm like, right. But for me to also stay in business,
right.
Like I have to also sort of be like
a business.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
And so it's been interesting to be using Flagship in that way. And you guys know this. It's like, you're a small business, you're on Flagship. I bring you to my audience. There is a commission, like affiliate commission there. And we can replicate that Amazon model by staying and also stay away from Amazon.
Yeah.
And I was very, confident in saying in that email about my breakup with Amazon that like small businesses are very happy to do that affiliate split.
Very happy.
They love being, you guys love being introduced to you.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I mean, I pretty much also am your target demographic. I think
100%.
Yeah. So it's like, so some people are like, oh, but you're taking away from small businesses. I'm like, no, we're collaborating together.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm a small business. They're a small business.
Yeah. It's advertising. It's paying advertising.
It's advertising.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it comes from an authentic place. Because I think I shared a ton of links without even having you on my flagship. I was like, oh, I love that. Like, I love this.
Yeah.
And then the other thing I talked about, because again, behind the scenes, a lot of people don't know this, is like being on ShopMy and LTK costs a small business like thousands and thousands of dollars a year.
Yeah.
And for a brand like a Madewell or whatever, it's like they can make that back in a day, not a big deal. But like really, really small businesses just starting out, artists, like makers, things like that, doing a flagship thing makes sense because it doesn't cost anything for the brand to begin. And this is not an advertisement for flagship. I just love using it. But it was also like how, between August and February, I stayed very quiet about what I was doing.
Yeah.
There's nothing worse than someone announcing they're going to do something. And then before they do it.
I love that. That's so inspiring.
You like tested the waters. Yeah.
That's so good. Right. Like good props to you, because a lot of us would just come out shouting from the rooftop, and like to test it first is so smart.
Yeah.
Well, that's learned, because I'm usually like announcing something and then being like, wait, I announced that? When did I say that? Okay. I was half asleep. But I also was like, I have to be careful. Like I have to make sure this like works for my business. And it ended up, I think it was like, obviously there's a financial hit, but it's not
forever either. It could just be,
it's a dip, right. And in the longevity of business, you have to make decisions that like then can allow you to peak even higher. And it's not like a selfless act. Like I'm not pretending being like, I'm amazing. Like, oh my God. Like, no, I run a shopping account, but I am trying to figure out, the small changes that we can make, does make a really big difference.
Yeah. Totally.
And something else I want to say, which I really thought was interesting and changed my mind about how I think about things. I live in New York City, so everything's really convenient to me. There isn't like a Walmart anywhere nearby. I don't have to drive anywhere to get anything. And when I have like I did a brand deal with Walmart in 2024. And I was like, I need to talk about this because, a lot of people will say like, well, Amazon's bad and Walmart's bad and you shouldn't do either. And I took that brand deal with Walmart because I actually polled the community at large, because I was like, I don't even have a Walmart near me, but do you guys like it? Because if you guys like it, then like we should be talking about it.
Yeah, then we should. And exactly.
What a lot of people said to me from different places were like, I have mixed feelings about Walmart, but I live in a really small town in XYZ America, and it's actually one of the only places I can get like A, B, C, D, E, F, and G.
Right.
And it like employs all of these people in our town. So sometimes I feel like I am supporting the local economy.
Right.
And it's like you kind of just
real-time feedback too. Yeah. Like
kind of amazing.
Yeah.
And I think what happens with the internet is you get siloed into these big vacuum conversations where it's like what applies to me might not apply to someone else. If I can stop buying at Amazon, great. I'm not going to go out there and tell other people like what to do.
Yeah.
Right.
What matters is like, but I think a lot of people think like, well, if I'm going to get on the internet and like tell my form of activism is yelling at other people for doing what they're doing. Right.
Yeah.
I think in some ways that can be helpful. I think in this way, it's like, I'm not going to tell someone who's like, Walmart employs like half of my family members. And so when I shop there, I do feel like I'm supporting the local economy. Wish it was different, but it's not. I'm not going to be like, well, too bad. Why don't you move?
Yeah.
So you can be like more moral.
Like that's not helping anything at the moment.
And it gave me more perspective of like, we live in a very like vast world where everybody is faced with different choices every day about different things. And I'm like, so what are the choices I'm making? Like, what are the ways? And my thing was like, I run a shopping business and I think I'm going to pull back from Amazon. Yeah. And that doesn't make me like holy and it doesn't make me better. It just is. And I just had to tell people
your part.
Yeah.
Exactly. I love that.
Yeah.
And I love that hearing from people who were like, hey, like I still get like bananas and toilet paper and like my like kids video games at Walmart, but I'm going to get some other stuff from other places. It's like great.
Yeah.
Like amazing.
Yeah. Exactly. That's such a good perspective on it. I love that.
Yeah. I felt like it helped me. And I did see someone somewhere that was like, even if you didn't if everybody just spent like a quarter of what they would normally spend on Amazon, like if this year you like diverted like half of your spending that you would normally do on Amazon.
Yeah. Elsewhere.
That actually would make a big difference. But like the other thing too is like Jeff Bezos is like so far gone. Like we're not going to be able. He's
right.
Good.
He's
yeah.
We needed to stop him like 25 years ago.
Yeah.
We didn't, and so now we're
so
here.
He's there. Yeah. Again, that ship has sailed. Like we're
right. But if you think about it, like if you kind of change that perspective to be like,
where are our dollars
not about
going?
Punishing Jeff Bezos, but more about like celebrating or shopping with a small business. I think
positive
that is like the skew.
I love that.
Totally. Helping out the small businesses, not hurting the
exactly. Right. And with G Thanks, keeping it fun, which has always been a priority to me. I'll tell you, I asked my community for to fill out a form of like their mom and pop shops, like you said, Lauren. I think that's like exactly what it is. It's like, tell me about your local, like
businesses,
anything. Yep. Yeah, that has an online. Everyone can shop online anywhere now. So like, let's shop online there. Yeah, I got like 600 responses. Wow, that's been more fun. Oh my gosh, that's combing through that form.
Yes,
and I bet like really unique products too, right?
Yes.
Like
yes.
And everyone has really close, like I said, like tell the story of like, why you love it. And someone was like, this place like ships nationally and it's like the best popcorn. And I'm like, I would have never thought of that. I would have never found them.
Right.
And
what comes to mind too? Do you know Monogram Mary? She's a friend of ours and she's local, but also national.
She's on Flagship, I think.
I think so. But that would be someone who'd be like, I think of Brooke as kind of like a local amazing entity who also is national. Like she could ship anywhere, but she has such a personal touch to what she does. Anyway, someone else that you could put on your list.
I should have Monogram
Mary. I should have filled out your form, but I'm just thinking of like local to us.
I'll send it to you after we record.
Yes, please send. We can add others. Yeah.
Like local to us, but national. Yeah. Because if you sell online, you can be national anywhere. Yeah.
Exactly.
Exactly. Yeah. And like, but it's like without those advertising dollars, and without a lot of these businesses that you see on Instagram and people are like, I'm getting targeted by this. I'm like, that's just a brand with a lot of money.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
And that's how they're getting in front of you. And I think that I'm like, well, what can I do? I can be the brand that I can get you in front of 80,000 people. And I'm not asking for a bazillion dollars. I'm saying my strategy is like, hey, if like I send someone your way, you give me like a small cut.
Yeah. Totally.
And it's a really good collaboration. And I think it's like, it kind of keeps it small business to small business and you keep the big middleman out of it. And
exactly. I love it.
It's fun. And that's what's honestly like to be circular with all the questions. It's like, that is what keeps this business fun for me. It's like, how do I keep making this exciting?
My, like a few questions that I want to make sure we get in is like, what do you love the most about it? And it, I mean, I think you've already answered that, but it's like what you love is what you're doing with it. It's not like, oh, I love just this part, like you want the whole thing to be something that day in and day out, you're feeling good about.
Yes.
And that's really inspiring.
Mm-hmm. I'm glad that comes across because that's really honestly how I feel. It's so just fun. And I don't want to make it so big that like I can't do something because like the company doesn't do it. I'm like, I am the company. Like if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. And if that makes it look a little messy or like a little weird or like, wait, she's doing a thrifting show now. Great.
Fine.
I think, exactly. And I think the other thing too, and I'm sure you guys feel this way as a brand, is you kind of have to say every day, like something that is for everyone is for nobody. Mm-hmm. Like I am, if there are people who get what I'm doing and like it, they're going to stick around. If there are people who are like, I really liked it when you were just doing Amazon roundups and hauls, I don't really, I'm not interested in the rest of this stuff. You just gotta let them go.
Yeah. I know.
And that has sort of given me the inner peace that I need to continue. Cause I think there's a people pleasing part of me that is like, I need everyone to like understand me and like me and approve of all of my choices.
I know.
That's very difficult.
It's really hard. Well, that's with these online presences. And like you said, with trying to bring in your personal touch, like when you bring in the personal touch, it becomes personal. And then you're like, oh my God, not everyone likes this. And I don't know.
Yes. Well, how do you make the community on Facebook, how do you keep that positive? Right? Like, because when someone gets behind it, we talk about this with customer service, like people just get behind a computer and sometimes just fire off an email, not realizing that they're actually talking to a human on the other side of the computer. How do you maintain that positivity? I feel like when you go to, there are some other shopping communities that aren't as positive as you've kept yours.
That's a great question. I think I have great moderators.
Nice. Okay.
I have two really, really wonderful people who have been there since the beginning, Jessica and Caitlin. And we have really, ever since even the group was like 3,000 people, actually when the group was 3,000 people, I didn't want a Facebook group in the beginning. I was like, because I have seen the toxicity and the horrific.
Thinking of some of our local Facebook groups. You're like local too. Like you might know that person,
right? I'm like, girl, your name is on that. Like, what are you doing? I said in the very beginning, because people were like, make a Facebook group. I like resisted. I finally made it. And I remember writing the first post that was like, the second this group becomes a place that I don't want to look at, I am just going to delete it. I was like, I literally was like
setting the boundary.
I was like, get it together, be normal, be nice, give people the benefit of the doubt. Here are like the 8 rules. And it's like, you know, like don't be a butt, you know. Don't be I think I really, really credit those first 3,000 people in the group
setting the tone
for helping me set the tone.
That's so great.
And it's like you come in and you either like get in line and you figure out how we operate. And it's not people disagree all the time.
Right.
But people do not.
There's not toxicity.
The second you like, and we ban people all the time, and that's just the truth of it. Like if people are like, I'm like, I don't owe, these are all adults. This is not, this is a private Facebook group. Like you read the rules. You want to come in here and like start something or be rude or comment on someone's body or like be weird. I'm just going to ban you. I'm not going to like give you a talking to.
It's like a conversation with a girlfriend about a shopping idea or like if you're sitting here with a friend, you're not going to be toxic and mean. Like you just want to have a nice conversation about buying XYZ or not buying.
Totally.
And you want the constructive feedback. Like you want the feedback, right? Like whether it's
100%.
good or bad. So it's okay to say, well, I didn't like this for this reason, but you don't have to be a bully about it. Right? Like,
no bullying.
You can tell when someone is like, I don't know. I don't see it that much anymore. People really, really get it. And I think we've just hammered it home. And I'm sure some people are like, I hate how positive it is. And I'm like, I don't care. Then start your own mean shopping group.
Start your own mean shopping group.
Another idea. Really, it's just very clear when someone has, even if someone messages something and you're like, or writes something in a comment and you're like you can tell when someone has good intentions and when someone is having a bad day and they're taking it out on the Facebook group. And like, I promise you're only in the G Thanks group, you are only going to learn that lesson once. Like if you have a bad day, that's too bad. Learn how to like
go somewhere else to let it out. Get a journal.
Get a journal.
So
we try to keep it really positive. And every time we hit a milestone, you know, like 20,000, 25,000, 30,000, the mods and I are always like, how did we do this? Like, this is crazy.
That's incredible.
This should have been like a kooky place. But sometimes I'll go in and threaten. And I'm like, listen,
keep it
I will delete it and I won't feel bad about it. It's like I'm going to turn this car around. Yeah. And we are not going to Disney World.
Yeah. So good.
This is how I get out my would-be parenting in that group. I do feel like I sometimes am the mother of 30,000, but the group itself is really, really good. And I'm always really touched by if there's ever any thing, they don't wait for me. Yeah. It's not like they police, but they're like, hey, we don't do that here. Hey, this group really isn't for that. And I'm like, cool, less work for me. Right. For someone to understand that. So I really am appreciative and I love that group. And that is something, again, 5 years ago, if you were like, in 5 years, you're going to love your Facebook group, I would have been like, what? Yeah. Come again? What Facebook group? I don't want it. Right. Yeah. So it's amazing. Very special.
I love it. So we'll do one last question. If you had one or two or a piece of advice for somebody who might want to do what you're doing or get started, what would be one thing or something you could give someone who's listening to take away?
So it's the most cliched piece of advice, but if you want to get into internet content creation and you're like, this is so corny. You just have to be yourself. Honestly, there is no, if you are yourself, then there's no one doing what you're doing. If you are going and you're just trying to copy paste on another influencer, that could work for a little while, but it's not sustainable. Figure out what you can bring to the table and then bring it. And don't be afraid of the people from high school who follow you and probably talk about you. I had to get over that a long time ago.
Oh, same with us. Same. So true. I know. Oh, when we were starting, there were so many questions.
Did you really?
Yeah. And I was like, whatever. But you have to learn to just let it go. Yeah.
I still sometimes am plagued by this idea that there's a group chat about me somewhere. And my therapist was like,
probably for all of us.
No offense, but I don't think anyone cares that much. I was like, okay, bad news and good news. Oh my gosh, right. I'm like, oh, they don't? You don't think they care that funny. Much?
Yeah, love your therapist. I'm going to take that with me.
Yeah, you too. She's like, no one cares that much. I'm like, really? You don't think? But I think the real main thing is what can you bring to the table and then do it. And then the hardest part is that you're kind of just going to be talking to nobody until something picks up.
Right. Yeah.
And you hope that it hits. And if you are honest with yourself and authentic to yourself, create your boundaries. You don't have to share your whole life with people who don't deserve that. But I think it's be you. Bring what you have to the table and your people will find you, but you ought to be consistent. It's like you show up every day and you do it. And one day you'll be sending a reel out and you'll get 5 views and then something will hit. I don't know how the algorithm works, but
you have to keep at it.
People say it's a really oversaturated space, but there's still a ton of people in this space.
It's only growing.
It's only growing.
This is it. I think these are the new magazines, the new media empires. Yeah. All these creators like yourself and I mean, influencers, even though I do consider you more than an influencer, personally speaking. I think there's way more there, substance wise. So
I appreciate that.
And not to say that influencers don't have substance.
I think it's just different. What you mean.
It's different.
It's different.
Yeah.
It's totally different. And I also think influencers are incredible and I could never do what they do. And honestly,
it's so hard. Yeah.
I have a manager who manages all my brand partnerships. And in the beginning, she's like, are you willing to do reels? And I was like, no.
Yeah. Yeah. Just say no. Yeah.
The second
what
I have to
make
do.
Sure. Yeah.
Look at my nails. Yeah. It's not happening.
Just no.
I can't do it. And I look, and when people are that job is so easy, a person who just films themselves, I'm like,
It is a lot. Yeah.
It's a lot of prep.
Brain surgery, but it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
A 7-second video could take hours. And I appreciate that. And that's why I don't do it. Because I'm I don't have the patience business. And I would have burned out a long time ago.
Exactly. Yeah.
But I think the most important thing is the space is only getting bigger and you have your own unique perspective. And that's what those magazines were missing. Everything was so siloed and done by brand standards. It's if that's not in play anymore, then what can you tell people?
Yeah. And how do you get to them and get in front of them, I think. And you're doing an amazing job of that. So
yeah. Thank you so much. I really like it.
Yeah.
Yeah. You guys are great. I'm a huge, gotta say.
Oh my gosh.
Huge Dudley Stevens fan.
The feeling is mutual.
5 different styles.
Love it.
And I have heard from so many people. I think after the first sale you guys did, people who bought their first one and then the second sale or like something, maybe it was like before the Black Friday and then the Black Friday. People were like, I just bought 7 more. Thank you.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, okay. We call Dudley Stevens January wear.
Yes.
And the way that I describe you guys is like, imagine you want to get up and do all of your Zooms in your pajamas, but you need to look like you got dressed.
That's exactly right.
Dudley Stevens.
And just throw it on.
And people were like, I like that. I'm buying it. So thank you guys
great.
for making such an amazing product that I love and that everyone in my community loves.
On that note, we're going to be doing 15% off your flagship store for our brand. So if you're listening to this, go shop. Go on the flagship store.
Amazing.
15% off on Caroline.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic. That's great news.
No, but
I shop with my own. I shop my own flagship more than anyone. So I'm like, oh, good for me.
Oh, and we're definitely going to fill out the form and add our local ladies. To the form. We'll be doing that. Yeah.
I'll email it to you.
So great.
Amazing.
Anyway. Well, this has been so much fun. I feel so inspired. I'm like,
I do too. And some amazing laughs too.
I know.
Thank you.
I feel like so like refreshing.
We can go conquer the day now.
Yeah, exactly.
But only the day. If you start thinking about tomorrow, it's gonna go off the rails.
Yeah.
And like
today
we need
only.
to circle back in like 5 to 10 years or 7 years, and you will have the media empire, and we will be cheering you on.
Yeah.
And I'll be like, I don't know how it happened. Thank you guys so much for having me. This was so much fun. I really loved it.
And have a wonderful day. And thanks to everybody listening in.
And check out G Thanks on all the things.
I know. Join the Facebook because we all need this in our lives.
Thank you, ladies.
Thanks, Caroline. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks, guys.
Absolutely.